General Grijalva was a leading progressive in the United States Congress, a former chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. In fact, he was a chair upon my arrival in the Congress along with Keith Ellison, but a decades-long progressive champion for the communities that he represented in a variety of different ways in Arizona and eventually as a national leader. So it's my expectation that whoever emerges from this primary is going to be, someone who will continue that progressive legacy on behalf of Chairman Grijalva.
Please get your response to Texas considering a mid-decade redistricting, and what, if any, response do you think there should be from blue states, New York or otherwise?
Donald Trump is deeply unpopular, and the one big ugly bill is deeply unpopular, and Republicans have done nothing with their majority but hurt everyday Americans. That is why they are desperate to cheat in terms of trying to rig the midterm elections by gerrymandering in an extraordinary fashion the Texas congressional map, which is already gerrymandered. House Republican leaders spent a lot of time trying to convince the American people that they just did something that they're proud of. If that, in fact, was the case, why is the first step that you are taking an effort to rig the Texas congressional map in a desperate attempt to hold on to power in this country, in the United States of America? Elected officials should earn the support of the voters that we hope to represent. Republicans want a country where politicians choose their voters, not the other way around. It reeks of desperation, and we're going to do everything that we can do in Texas and beyond to respond.
Thank you, Leader. No doubt New York is going to play a big role in who controls the House next year. We've had Republicans tell us that the nominee for New York City mayor is a gift for Republicans in New York State. Do you think he's a political liability?
Donald Trump is a gift to Democratic prospects in Virginia, New Jersey, and in the midterm elections next year.
Jumping off of that, thank you. Two questions. One, will you be meeting with Mr. Mamdani? He's going to be here in D.C. this week. So one is, will you be meeting with him when he's here, or when will you be meeting with him? And two, do you agree with Cuomo's essentially thought or request that candidates who are not leading drop out by September?
I'm scheduled to meet with the Democratic nominee at the end of the week back home in Brooklyn. Haven't had a conversation with Eric Adams or Andrew Cuomo since the primary and have no current plans to do so at this moment.
Thank you, Lisa. I have a policy question here. What is your reaction to President Trump issuing today a ultimatum to Putin to end the war in 15 days in Ukraine or a 100% surrender of Belarus? How do you see this playing out, and what's the sentiment from Democrats?
Vladimir Putin has spent the entire year punking Donald Trump and the Trump administration. Donald Trump promised many things to the American people and continues to betray the American people and break promise after promise after promise in a whole lot of areas, including Donald Trump's promise that there would be peace in Ukraine on day one of his presidency. How is that working out? Donald Trump has spent the first 6 months of his presidency playing footsie with Vladimir Putin. And the response from Vladimir Putin, a sworn enemy of the United States of America, has been to unleash terror on Ukrainian children, communities, and civilians. Donald Trump has zero credibility in this area. Is he just now figuring out that Ukraine is a friend to the United States of America and Russia is an enemy? Is he just now figuring out that the United States should always stand on the side of democracy, freedom, and truth, which is standing with Ukraine, as opposed to standing on the side of authoritarianism, tyranny, and propaganda, which is what he's been doing by standing with Russia and Vladimir Putin? Is he just now figuring this out? Congress has to act independently in this area, and we should sanction Russia and continue to keep the pressure on Vladimir Putin and Russia, a sworn enemy of this country, until the Ukrainian people are able to achieve victory for themselves, our NATO allies in Europe, and the free world.
Leader Jeffries, I want to get your thoughts on the Genius Act and the CBDC surveillance act. Do you support those? Or do you advance those?
Yes, my expectation to have a conversation about the crypto legislation at the leadership meeting that we have today at 5:15, and then at the steering and policy meeting, and then at the Democratic caucus meeting tomorrow morning, and I'll articulate a position on both pieces of legislation thereafter.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Speaker Johnson was asked yesterday the legislative agenda going forward now that the reconciliation bill is passed. He said that Republicans are going to pursue up to 2 more reconciliation bills. One as soon as this fall, one next spring. He said that Republicans were going to push for lower level funding for their 2026 funding bills, more rescission packages, and, quote, codifying Trump executive orders. I want to get your response to that legislative agenda. How will Democrats continue to push back? And do you think that it's wise, if you say that the reconciliation bill that just passed is so unpopular, do you think that it's wise to pursue additional party line pieces of legislation?
If the Republican legislative agenda in the House continues to be to unleash chaos, cruelty, and corruption on the American people, we will continue as Democrats to strongly oppose it.
Over the last few days, a number of members of your caucus have been posting and engaging in some of the discourse about Jeffrey Epstein. Is this appropriate for your members to be doing so? Do you want to see any action on that front?
The American people deserve to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as it relates to this whole sordid Jeffrey Epstein matter. Democrats didn't put the Jeffrey Epstein thing into the public domain. This was a conspiracy that Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and these MAGA extremists have been fanning the flames of for the last several years. And now the chickens are coming home to roost. The American people deserve to know the truth. What, if anything, is the Trump administration and the Department of Justice hiding? What are you hiding? If you're not hiding anything, prove that to the American people. And if you are trying to hide something, as many of Donald Trump's MAGA supporters apparently believe, then the Congress should actually work hard to try to uncover the truth for the American people. There are only 2 things that are possible here. Option 1, Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and the MAGA extremists intentionally lied to the American people for years about the Jeffrey Epstein situation. That's option 1. Option 2 is that, in fact, there's reason for the American people to be concerned as it relates to what information has not been released that could be damaging to the Trump administration and the friends and family of the Trump administration and their billionaire corrupt supporters. And so they're actively engaging in a cover-up. Option 1, they lied for years. Option 2, they're engaging in a cover-up. At this point, it seems reasonable that can only be one of the 2 things. And so it's Congress's responsibility in a bipartisan way to ask the questions and try to get answers on behalf of the American people.
Two of your members have introduced or enacted legislation to either force or urge the administration
haven't had a conversation with those members or an opportunity to evaluate the resolution and the legislation. However, I think transparency and sunlight for the American people is always the better course of action.
The Senate is going to be voting later today on Trump's first judicial nominee of his second administration. Do you think Democrats have done enough to oppose Trump's judicial nominees thus far?
Democrats in the Senate have been working incredibly hard to push back aggressively against Donald Trump's extreme agenda. We partnered closely with Senate Democrats under the leadership of Chuck Schumer to strongly and uniformly oppose Donald Trump's one big ugly bill. And I'm confident that Senate Republicans will continue to rubber stamp Donald Trump's extreme judicial choices, and Senate Democrats will continue to aggressively push back on behalf of the American people. This whole
All right.